What's up, guys? So today I want to talk about red stars and the future of red stars. So before we even get into it, I want to make a few things clear. Number one, this is not just an angry rant video. I will be explaining what I view as a problem, but I will also be proposing a solution that I think will result in a win-win, both for the Foxnex execs who want to keep making those fat stacks, and also a win for the player base. Number two, I want to address a lot of people have been saying, but I thought you liked red stars. So this one I want to address right now. I've never said I was a fan of red stars. I never claimed to be strongly in favor of them. What I said back when they launched and have continued to say since then are a few key things. Firstly, I said that red stars won't kill the game. Turns out, they did not in fact kill the game. Second, I said red stars aren't 100% pure evil. I'm sure everyone watching this video has felt the excitement of opening some red star orbs, even if it usually just ends up ending in disappointment, but for all the same reasons I described in my original video, I do feel that there are some upsides. Most importantly, a rare opportunity for exceptionally lucky newer or free-to-play players to be able to compete with veteran players as opposed to never standing a chance. And the third thing I'd been saying was, let's wait and see how this plays out before starting a massive panic. Foxnex have a habit of releasing things out of context. Many times future content is released 1 to 2 weeks later that makes content that seemed impossible suddenly much more doable. So, the two main things I specifically said I was holding out for were additional sources of obtaining red star orbs and selective application of red stars, which at this point I think are long overdue. So here we are 5 months later, we've had almost no change in our rate of obtaining red star orbs, and we've had exactly 0 progress on selective application of red stars. So in other words, I feel I've been plenty patient, now I'm kind of pissed. So the third and final thing I want to make clear before discussing my solution is an explanation for why people are so unhappy with red stars and why I feel this is an issue worth talking about. Simply put, too many of my friends are quitting. Good people who just want to play a game, get lost in the Marvel Universe, relieve some of the stress of their long workday, and they're literally left feeling heartbroken. They've spent months investing time and effort into a hobby and a community, only to just repeatedly have feelings of frustration, feeling like they're being taken advantage of, and most importantly, as though they aren't even in control of their own rosters. So I've been talking with a lot of the other content creators about this lately, and I think Mobile Gamer said it best. He said, quote, "I don't mind spending money on this game. I like to spend money on my hobbies, but if you're gonna make me spend, at least trick me into spending. I want to feel like it was my choice to spend." And this really hits the nail on the head. Players want to feel like they're in control. At the very, very least, they want the illusion of control. So this reminds me of a change they made to the Ant-Man and Wasp campaign way back when that released. Originally, that campaign had a high number of orb frags dropping with a low chance, and when people complained that it felt like they rarely actually got the orb frags to drop, Foxnex doubled the drop rate and halved the drop amount. So this resulted in, on average, the exact same amount of orb frags being distributed, but everyone agreed it felt so much better. So there are a lot of steps that can be taken to make this system feel a lot better without changing too much of the actual outcome. But of course, the current actual outcome needs some work as well. So we're going to touch on that. So getting back to why red stars have been such a disappointment to players, there's two clear factors. Number one, players feel like they have no control over their progression. This is understandable, of course, because, well, players have very little control over their late game progression. The fun and the draw of this game is the opportunity to build your own roster of characters from the Marvel Universe, and when forces entirely outside of player control decide who our best characters are, the whole draw of that promise of this game goes out the window. Speaking from my personal experience, my two highest red star characters are Shield Operative and Luke Cage. So I didn't exactly get into Marvel Strike Force because I'm a huge nameless Shield minion fan, or particularly a Luke Cage enthusiast. Having the ability to gain big power spikes for random characters is not why red stars are infuriating. That part's fine. It's that players don't have the ability ever to apply those same big power spikes for the characters that they love. And the other major reason why red stars are such a disappointment to players is simple. It's the first mechanic in the game that completely allows for backwards progress. And this part is exceptionally bad. Not only does it allow for backwards progress, it actually enables you to spend money on backwards progress. So some people I've talked to refer to such a thing as gambling. For newer players who may be confused by what I mean, here's an example. Let's say that you have 3,500 elite red star orb fragments. Then let's say I spend $35 to open 8 red star orbs. Realistically, what you should expect is 2 1 stars, 4 2 stars, and a 3 star. If we assume that all these result in duplicates, which if you're enough of a late game player, that's pretty common. Most late game players have most characters at least 3 red star. You'll end up having spent $35 on 1,800 elite red star orb fragments. That's okay, by this point you've accumulated enough to open an elite red star orb, which guarantees you at least a 4 red star character. Now, let's say you open that elite red star orb and you get the most likely outcome of 4 red star, and let's say that it's a duplicate, which is not implausible at all. In fact, this is exactly what's happened the last 3 times I've opened an elite orb. Your total return is a mere 900 elite orb frags. So if you add this to the 300 that you would have had left over, your overall result is you spent $35, upgraded 0 characters, and went from having 3,500 elite orb fragments down to 1,200 elite orb fragments. So the fact that you can pay $35 to obtain negative 2,300 elite orb fragments, is it any wonder that players find this frustrating? Prior to the introduction of red stars, the most notoriously frustrating orb to open for late game players were Ultimus orbs, because they had a chance to result in a duplicate. Your total haul was typically 2, maybe 3 Ultimus shards. It was the world's slowest crawl to unlock a character, but at least it was always forward progress if you got to do. Even if it was just a few inches of progress. Red star orbs allow for backwards progress, and worse yet, it's not the result of a penalty, it's the result of random chance, oftentimes inflicted on someone who paid money for it. So if you're going to charge players money for backwards progress, it's very difficult to try to assure those players that you see them as more than wallets. Now, I understand Foxnext's view on the matter. The players claim they're not having it, the players claim they despise red stars, the players decry red stars as a major ripoff, the players rant and rave that red stars are obvious justification for quitting the game, and then what do the players do? They continue to log in every single day, and they now buy red star offers. From what I've heard through the grapevine, at Foxnext, a week after they rolled out red stars, they were said to be jubilant. They opened up a great new avenue for making tons of money, and the game didn't capsize, so it's just been a joyous win for them. I imagine the Christmas bonuses were extraordinarily generous. And none of that bothers me. This game does make me happy. The devs worked to provide this game for us, and they deserve to be happy as well. There's 1,000 ways to make players happier by giving away for free what Foxnext currently make good money selling, but that's not a solution that works for both parties. Every single proposal I've seen thus far for changing red stars ends up costing Foxnext quite a bit of money. Now, personally, I'm all in favor of saving money myself. I totally get just wanting us to not have to pay, but basically that immediately designates those suggestions as suggestions that Foxnext have zero interest in even hearing, let alone implementing. If I came to you with an idea for how you could make less money, would you be interested in listening? So I've spent several weeks working on a model for the Red Star system that would be easy to implement, and it would make players much happier, make them feel like they're in much more control, and it won't result in Foxnext losing any money. In fact, if implemented properly, I'd wager it would incentivize players to spend a bit more. Players don't hate spending money on their hobbies, they hate being taxed, and they especially hate paying for backwards progress. So if this solution is going to have any hope of reaching the right ears, and any hope of being considered or adopted, it's going to require a united player base's support. So I realize what I'm about to propose is not the most generous possible system for the players, but I wholeheartedly believe it is the most generous possible system for the players that makes financial sense for Foxnext to implement. So I apologize for sounding preachy, and I apologize for getting so dramatic over a mobile game, but I really do believe that this is the community's one real chance to be listened to without orchestrating a mass quit wave or mass review bombing, and I'd always prefer to reach out diplomatically and not with threats. So please share this video if you support the proposal. The more eyes that we get on it, the more likely it is to get noticed. The devs have demonstrated that at times they listen very closely to the player base. So let's send a message all in unison that stands a real chance of being listened to. Alright, enough dramatic flair. Let's get to the plan itself. So firstly, it would require 2 new objects to be created. You can call them whatever, I just decided to call them Red Star Gem and Red Star Gem Fragments. So this item would be used to selectively apply red stars to a character of the player's choice. Specifically, it would apply exactly 6 red stars to a character of the player's choice, with a 20% chance to apply 7 red stars instead. This item will of course be very rare and available in very limited quantities, as I will describe shortly. And some additional options for monetization on this item. It can come in the form of a trait-restricted red star gem. You could also roll out lesser red star gems, which would guarantee application of fewer red stars to a character of the player's choice. But anyway, so how would this work? So on average, FoxNext releases 2 to 3 new characters per patch, in addition to the 91 characters that already occupy our rosters. From what I can tell, given all the trait-based content in the game, every player that I've talked to has, at a minimum, at least 20 characters that they really want high red stars for. Some of us more. Because of this, I believe it's more than reasonable to give players, for free, over the course of an entire patch, exactly enough red star gem fragments, which I suggest, having 10,000 for 1 red star gem, for 1 red star gem per patch. Now, it would be fine to restrict this to a campaign event under the assumption that every endgame player spends the full 200 cores daily to refresh the event campaign energy. It could be done as alliance milestones, requiring flawless but freely obtainable full participation in all game modes for an entire patch. The only thing is that a full gem is available for free once per patch. You could also combine the distribution with the final day of the login calendar to make sure players are logging in every day, however it's done. Now, before we go on, there is an additional source of monetization for this item. I'd also like to recommend allowing for up to 1/2 of a gem's worth of frags to be purchasable every patch. And this price can be significant. Speaking for myself and several whales I consulted before proposing this, I've been assured that such an item would justify hefty spending, and it would be borderline mandatory spending among the most competitive alliances. Now, there's an entirely additional aspect of this proposal which I've yet to get to, but I want to point out a few key reasons before we go on why what I've already proposed wouldn't actually hurt FoxNext's bottom line, which it might seem like it would, but I actually believe it would supplement it. So, the first is that even if the biggest whales are purchasing and therefore obtaining 1/2 of these gems per patch, they're still being outpaced by the rate of new characters releasing, so they'll still want and need more red star orbs to fully empower their new teams. As long as the majority of the newly released characters are desirable, red star orbs will still be very necessary as there won't be enough gems to invalidate them. Additionally, endgame players already have a backlog of, as I previously mentioned, at least 20 characters they strongly want to equip with red stars, so simply put, this wouldn't reduce the demand for red stars. In fact, if you apply it to a core member of a new team, it would only make the rest of the red stars more desirable for the remainder of the team. Not only that, but what good would a red star gem be applying 6 or the super lucky 7 red stars to a new character if that character weren't already at 6 or 7 gold stars? So this would actually strongly motivate whales to spend quite a bit extra farming the new champion or placing higher in their blitz because they have the assurance that they will be able to capitalize on a high red star amount for a new character. So not only this, but I was very deliberate in suggesting 6 red stars with only a small chance for 7, because this way 7 red stars are still very desirable, and any given red star orb still has the potential to significantly improve a character, plus 25% stats is a sizable improvement, and competitive players will be no less wanting of them. So, there are many reasons why this stands to make FoxNext more money, not less. It also deals with putting the control of roster progression back in players' hands, at least somewhat. It now allows that Guardians of the Galaxy die-hard free-to-play player to have a formidable Guardian of the Galaxy team after 6 patches or something like 9 months of perseverance. Now, in that time, of course, 4 or more new teams have released, and the desire for more red star orbs is greater, not less. So, the second part of this proposal deals with removing the opportunity for backwards progress as a result of cash spending, and this part is quite simple. Just change the conversion of any duplicates resulting from an elite red star orb into a small amount of red star gem fragments. That's it. The current rate of returns on normal red star orbs can remain, though personally I'd love to see it be more generous, and as long as the elite red star orb duplicates convert into gem frags, even a scant amount, it'll never feel like entirely backwards progress. It would make many whales feel far more comfortable purchasing red star orbs, knowing that every purchase moves them forward, even if just a few inches. And one last tidbit. Let's say there are a handful of incredibly dedicated players and they save their gems through 5 patches, they go on an all-out crazy spending spree, they take an entire team of 5 brand new characters to 6 red stars straight away. This would of course be an insanely uncommon occurrence, but it would only serve to make other players that much more envious once they got to see what an empowered version of a new team is capable of. Speaking for myself, I become strongly compelled to power up a character once I've seen someone else use an empowered version of them, and I've seen it be to great effect. So that's the proposal. In short, introduce some type of red star gem, which costs 10,000 or whatever red star gem fragments, make them the pinnacle of free-to-play achievement at a rate of 1 per patch, allow whales to purchase enough frags for an additional half of a gem per patch with a hefty price tag, and these gems should guarantee 6 red stars on a character of the player's choice with something like a 20% chance to award 7 red stars instead, and lastly, change elite red star orb dupes to always award some small amount of red star gem frags, even if that conversion rate amounts to maybe 1 extra gem over the course of an entire year, as long as it's forward progress. So I wholeheartedly believe the community will be significantly happier with the system, and I also believe that Foxhack's bottom line will find it at the very least agreeable. So if you'd be happier with this system, please share this around, and with a bit of luck, hopefully we can make enough noise to make some real change. So it's easy to be skeptical and simply leave a comment saying they'll never listen and it'll never work, but doing that is the only way to guarantee that it doesn't work. At least if we get some support, we have a chance. So on that note, thanks for basically sitting through my Red Stars TED Talk. I do have some fun stuff coming up real soon. Some high-level Killmonger gameplay where I'll be demonstrating how his basic attack, when offensed up, can one-shot a 7 red star Thanos. So I look forward to showing you guys that. But yeah, that's all for now. Thank you guys for hearing me out, and I will see you guys real soon. Peace!